All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a massive, incredibly complex story. We're looking at the sprawling allegations of financial irregularities within the Ram Mandir Trust. Now, we are relying entirely on the provided reports here. This is an institution built literally on the faith of millions, and recently it's been hit with claims of what's being called chanda chori, or donation theft. Now, just to be super clear, our goal today isn't to take a side, not at all. We're just here to objectively map out the timeline, figure out the mechanics of these alleged scams, and look at how the institution responded. Sound good? Let's get into it.
To make sense of all these complex claims, we've got a pretty straightforward roadmap. First up, we'll look at the formation of the trust, then the anatomy of the donation theft itself. From there, we'll cover the missing valuables and assets, the questionable land deals, trust officials and oversight, and finally, wrap it up with the broader implications.
Let's hit that first one. Part 1. The formation of the trust, officially known as the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra.
So, according to the source material, this trust was formed by the government back in February 2020. It's managed by a 15-member committee, and this includes some very powerful figures like General Secretary Champat Rai. Their job? Well, they were tasked with overseeing the monumental construction of the temple, sure, but also managing a massive influx of public donations. I mean, this wasn't just some small local committee. This was a national-level body, the ultimate custodians of the public's faith and, frankly, their funds.
And to really grasp what we're talking about, look at this number. The reports estimate the daily cash donations from the temple's 35 boxes were coming in at between 50 and 60 lakh rupees every single day. Just wrap your head around that volume for a second. We're talking about tens of thousands of people contributing daily, creating an absolute mountain of physical cash that had to be collected, transported, counted, and deposited safely. Managing that much liquid cash, it requires ironclad logistics and perfect transparency. But, as the reports allege, this is exactly where the whole system started to fracture.
Which brings us to Part 2, the anatomy of donation theft, or what happened when the counting room broke down.
Okay, so picture the counting room down in the basement. It had 3 distinct groups that were supposed to cross-verify each other. You had a private agency doing the actual physical counting. They were supervised by trust officials who were appointed by Champat Rai, and then you had representatives from the State Bank of India and an audit team providing that final financial verification. On paper, this looks like a rock-solid 3-tiered system of checks and balances. But according to whistleblower accounts and the reports, these groups allegedly started colluding instead of overseeing one another.
So how exactly did they do it? According to the whistleblower, the step-by-step process of hiding these extra notes was shockingly simple, and it allegedly happened right under the cameras. Basically, workers were mandated to make bundles of exactly 10 notes, but instead, they'd secretly slip 12 or 13 notes into a single bundle. Because the official count only registered 10 notes per bundle, those extra 2 or 3 notes, they essentially just vanished from the official ledger. Later on, those hidden notes were allegedly siphoned off and split among the staff. It's like a magic trick, but with donation money.
And the outcome of this alleged scheme is honestly staggering. Modest salaried counting workers suddenly started acquiring massive wealth. The sources point to specific individuals, like Tinu Yadav, who was actually in charge of the counting room. He allegedly amassed a fortune of around 50 crore rupees. Meanwhile, other staff members, guys making roughly 14,000 to 20,000 rupees a month officially, were suddenly buying up luxury farmhouses and properties. I mean, a discrepancy like that between your day job salary and your new real estate portfolio, that's what raised the initial red flags.
Let's move on to Part 3. It wasn't just cash we need to talk about. We need to look at the missing valuables and assets, specifically unaccounted silver and gold.
The reports claim that some highly specific, incredibly valuable physical donations just completely vanished, and apparently there was zero systematic record-keeping to track them. Take this one instance. The Sindhi community in Pune crowdfunded around 2 crore rupees to forge 210 silver bricks, each weighing a kilogram, stamped with their deity. They allegedly handed them directly to the General Secretary of the Trust. Yet years later, the sources say there's no official receipt, no record of where they're stored, and absolutely no clarity on what happened to them. And it's not just the bricks. Donated gold and silver necklaces are also reported missing in the exact same way.
Now for Part 4. Let's step out of the counting room for a minute and look at the questionable land deals, the real estate component of these allegations.
The source details a jaw-dropping claim here. In certain instances, the trust allegedly purchased land at a markup 17 times higher than its original value. 17 times! Imagine someone buying a piece of land and then almost immediately flipping that exact same plot to the trust for an astronomical markup.
This is the absolute core of the real estate scandal. Individuals allegedly bought land cheaply at standard market prices, only to immediately turn around and sell it to the Ram Mandir Trust for exorbitant sums. The sources mentioned specific cases where properties initially valued at around 2 crore rupees were funneled through private buyers and unloaded onto the trust at massive, totally unjustifiable payouts. It really forces you to ask, who was approving these purchases for the trust, and why on earth were they agreeing to pay wildly inflated prices using public donation money?
That leads us right into Part 5, Trust Officials and Oversight, and what really looks like a massive accountability crisis.
Because this wasn't just some localized secret down in Ayodhya. Look at this detail from the source material. The Intelligence Bureau had sent at least 12 reports to the Prime Minister. This emphasizes that these issues were allegedly well documented and had been escalated to the absolute highest levels of government. Federal intelligence was actively monitoring the situation, repeatedly flagging these exact financial anomalies.
And when you lay out the timeline, you see what reports describe as a total collapse of accountability. Let's walk through it. In 2021, a whistleblower named Mahipal Singh, who is in charge of accounts, formally informs the trust's leadership about the theft. The SBI and private auditors are also issuing warnings, saying, hey, you need to remove the accounting staff. But instead of fixing the problem, 7 to 8 months of crucial CCTV footage from the counting room is inexplicably deleted right in the middle of the investigation. And the grand finale, Mahipal Singh, the whistleblower who tried to stop it all, is fired from his job.
The sources suggest there was a deeply entrenched system protecting powerful trust officials. And despite all these multiple warnings from auditors and whistleblowers, leaders like General Secretary Shampat Rai allegedly just dismissed the audits. The staff accused of pocketing the cash were kept on the payroll, and the powerful figures overseeing everything faced zero official reprimand. They just retained their seats of power, business as usual. Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, the broader implications for institutional transparency. You see, the implications here go way beyond just stolen cash. This points to an alleged systemic exploitation of faith. Millions of ordinary citizens, from students to daily wage laborers, they gave whatever they could because they deeply believed in a cause. But the allegations in these reports paint a really grim picture. A system that took that faith, stripped away the internal checks and balances, ignored professional audits, deleted digital evidence, and actually punished the whistleblowers, while allegedly protecting the perpetrators. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. When billions are donated in the name of absolute faith, how do we ensure the institutions managing that wealth remain transparent, accountable, and completely free from corruption? How do we bridge that gap? If the allegations in these source reports are true, it exposes a massive, dangerous vulnerability in how unregulated trust organizations operate. Keep analyzing the facts, keep demanding transparency, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll catch you next time as we keep unpacking the world's most complex stories.